Walk into McDonald's and look at the help wanted sign. The sign says, now hiring, $18 per hour. Last year, that same job paid $15 an hour. Next door at Target warehouse, they're paying $22. Last year, it was $18. Starbucks barista positions pay $17 plus tips. Last year, it was $14. Everything jumped, 20 to 30% raises across 3 years. Delivery drivers went from 16 to 20, warehouse workers from 18 to 22, cleaners, checkout clerks, food prep all climbing. But your salary didn't move. Same job, same paycheck, 3 years and nothing changed. Your rent went up, groceries went up, coffee went from $4 to $6, burgers from $5 to $6.50. But you stayed flat. The lowest wage jobs got expensive raises, you got nothing, and somehow the entire bill landed in your cart. Why would a war on the other side of the world change what McDonald's pays, what you don't get paid, and what you spend at checkout? That's what we're figuring out. Where did all the McDonald's workers go? In early 2026, the Iran conflict escalated rapidly. The military needed recruits, and they needed them fast. They didn't go to tech companies or law firms looking for workers. They went to working-class neighborhoods. They went after 18 to 25-year-olds without college degrees. They went after people working low-wage jobs. The pitch was simple and direct: join the military. $2,200 a month, housing completely free, food completely free, medical care completely free, college paid for after service. The real total value, close to $50,000 a year. Now imagine you're 19 years old, working at McDonald's at $15 an hour. That's $31,000 a year before taxes. Your real take-home after taxes, maybe $24,000. Basic math says you join the military. Thousands of workers did exactly that. They left McDonald's, they left the warehouse, they left retail, they signed up for military service. Suddenly, there weren't enough people for the low-wage jobs anymore. McDonald's still needed workers, Amazon still needed warehouse staff, Target still needed stockers, but fewer people were available to fill those positions. So wages went up. $15 wasn't enough to attract workers, $16 wasn't enough, $17 wasn't enough, finally $18 got enough people to apply. The warehouse saw this happening and raised their wages from 18 to 22. Target followed. Starbucks followed. Every company bidding up wages because there simply weren't enough people available. The military didn't directly tell McDonald's to raise wages, but the labor market did exactly that. Military recruitment meant people left low-wage jobs. People leaving low-wage jobs meant labor shortage. Labor shortage meant wages had to rise. That's why the sign says $18 now. That's where this story starts to matter for you. Because McDonald's can afford to raise wages, but where does that money come from? That's layer 2. McDonald's raised wages from $15 to $18. That costs money. Let's say a typical McDonald's has 50 employees, $3 more per hour, 2,000 hours a year per employee. That's $300,000 in extra annual costs. Where does that money come from? Companies have choices. They can raise prices, or they can cut costs somewhere else. Most chose option 2, freeze middle wage salaries. Your salary is $55,000. It stays $55,000. No raise, no bonus, nothing. Why you and not the CEO? Because you're replaceable. McDonald's workers aren't. They just left for the military. But middle managers, accountants, office workers, there are plenty of people who can do those jobs. You won't quit over a frozen salary because where else would you go? The market's the same everywhere. Every company is doing this. So your salary gets frozen to pay for McDonald's wage increase. But here's the problem, that $300,000 isn't quite enough. McDonald's raised wages, froze middle management, and it's still not balanced. So they do one more thing. They raise prices. The Big Mac was $5, now it's $6.50. Starbucks coffee was $4.50, now it's $6. Delivery fee was $3, now it's $5. Why? Because companies raised low-wage salaries and froze middle wages. They still need to cover the gap. So they raised prices. Now here's what happens to different people. The McDonald's worker who got a raise from $15 to $18, they're roughly even. Wages up 20%. Prices up maybe 15 to 20%. They break even or come out slightly ahead. The CEO doesn't matter. They eat out once a month. $1.50 more on a burger means nothing to them. But your salary is frozen. It didn't go up, but everything you buy went up 15 to 20%. You're paying twice. Once when your employer froze your salary to afford McDonald's wage increase, and again when you buy that burger for $6.50 instead of $5. The low-wage worker got a raise. The high-income person barely noticed, but the middle, that's you paid for both. This isn't an accident, it's structural. War creates military demand. Military demand pulls low-wage workers. Low-wage workers leaving forces wages up. Wages up forces costs up. Costs up forces prices up. Prices up hits the middle class hardest because they're not getting raises but they're buying things. So let's trace this back to the beginning. It started with a war. The Iran conflict escalated. Military recruitment surged dramatically. Young people from working-class backgrounds enlisted in large numbers. 30,000 people left low-wage jobs in just a few months. That created a vacuum in the labor market. McDonald's needed workers, Target needed workers, Amazon needed workers, Starbucks needed workers. Every low-wage employer needed workers and couldn't find them. So wages went up. $15 became $18. $18 became $22. But here's the problem that companies face in this situation. They can't just absorb that cost. They have to get that money from somewhere. So they froze your salary. And when that wasn't enough to cover the wage increases they had to pay, they raised prices. Now let's look at the complete structure of what happened. War started, military recruitment surged. Low-wage workers left their jobs to enlist. This created a labor shortage. Companies had to raise wages to attract workers. Companies needed more money to pay those higher wages, so they froze your salary and raised prices. You paid more at checkout and earned the same at work. Each step flows directly into the next one. These aren't separate problems happening at the same time. This is one connected system. The low-wage worker got a raise, maybe 20% higher wages, but they're also paying 15 to 20% more for everything they buy. Roughly even. They broke even. The rich person, barely affected by any of this. They don't feel price increases the way you do. Price increases are a minor inconvenience for them. But you stuck in the middle with a frozen salary and rising costs everywhere. You absorbed the entire shock of the system. This is what happens when a war restructures the labor market and flows through an economy. The question everyone asks is, why did McDonald's wages rise so dramatically? But the real question nobody is asking is, why did your wage get redistributed? Because that's exactly what happened, not just to you, to millions of middle-class workers across the country. Your income was reallocated to keep low-wage businesses running during a labor crisis created by military recruitment. And you paid for it at the register every single time you went shopping. A price signal from a war on the other side of the world ended up in your grocery cart.